Hello, and welcome to NJ.com's live chat with TV writer Vicki Hyman. Today we'll be talking about Matthew Perry's return to TV on CBS's The Odd Couple, which debuts next Thursday. Vicki, say hi to everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, Vicki, we've been chatting about this here and there for the past couple of weeks, so let's just get right into it. We both watched the first episode of this, and I think there's so much wrong with this new sitcom. It is beyond words. But briefly, for the cheap seats, for those who don't know what The Odd Couple is, explain.
Well, can we start with the theme song? Da-da, da-da, da-da. Come on.
Sure. Yeah, right.
It started off as a Neil Simon play in the 60s. It became about two divorced men who share an apartment. One is a slob, Oscar Madison, a sports writer. I think actually their professions have changed a little bit through the various incarnations, and he is joined by Felix Unger, a neat freak whose wife just threw him out, and they live together. And hijinks ensue. It became a very popular movie with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, and then it became a very popular and very good TV series featuring Jack Klugman and Tony Randall.
Okay, so both of those properties are very beloved. I watched the movie about a month or so ago. It was on TCM. Laughed, just like I always do. Walter Matthau was hilarious, and of course Jack Lemmon is a perfect Felix. And then of course years later the TV show came and they kind of established their own following, so and they were also very good.
They were great. I mean, some of the fondest TV memories of my childhood.
Exactly. So it's hard because this is such a beloved property. They've tried bringing the show back once before, I think in the 80s.
In the 80s with African-American,
Yes.
African-American man.
Exactly. That didn't go over so well. It didn't connect with audiences. Now, is the property just dated? Is that why this isn't connecting?
No, I think the reason why this isn't connected is that the property isn't dated, but the execution is dated. I mean, this would have been a great series in 1983. It's right. Just we have moved beyond this. I mean, I know that there are still, this is shot as, a three-camera sitcom on a set, laugh track, joke, laugh track, joke. I mean, it's just, it's coming on right after The Big Bang Theory, so that's really great for it. It has a great lead, and Big Bang Theory is like that. Big Bang Theory is a little more sophisticated in its comedy than this show was in its pilot. But it's just, whenever I watch it, maybe I'm just used to Parks and Recreation. I'm used to this, filmed single camera thing. That's where we are right now, and this just feels like ridiculous and old and dated, like Three's Company. And I'm watching Three's Company again. Although Three's Company was also a lot funnier than the pilot of the Odd Couple.
Well, I mean, I will remind you that the first 2 seasons of the Odd Couple TV series was shot as a single camera comedy, and then they brought in live in front of a studio audience. And I do think this was shot in front of a studio audience, and I do disagree there. But I have to admit that Matthew Perry, God, I mean, first of all, he's had some awful luck post Friends, and he's not even phoning this in. Oh. He looks catatonic.
Well, that's what I don't understand. He developed this show for CBS. He loves this show, and then he seems so incredibly not invested in what he's doing there. It's so perfunctory. It's beyond comprehension to me, what he is doing there.
I'm not buying him as Oscar Madison. I'm not buying much of anything that's going on the show. Everything from the sets to the wardrobe, it feels so contrived. The jokes weren't even funny. They even lifted dialogue from Neil Simon's play, and that wasn't even funny. And those were funny lines. It's just not translating. Is there a curse among friends.
No. It's really weird because you, Anthony, turned me on to episodes starring Matt LeBlanc, which I think is so incredibly terrific. It's so funny. He is great at. Yeah, he is actually playing, himself. Maybe you get to a point of your fame that you can only play variations on yourself, and when you try playing somebody else, it's like, ugh. Because Lisa Kudrow, she's certainly not playing herself in The Comeback, which she was also great at on HBO, which just returned for its second season. She was incredible. I enjoy Cougar Town with Courtney Cox. Jennifer Aniston, I think she definitely has the issue where she is known as Rachel, and it is almost impossible for her to do anything anymore. Although apparently she's very good in Cake. Didn't get her the Oscar nomination though.
And what about David Schwimmer?
Who knows? I think he was directing for a while. I'm really not sure. I mean, the point is, all these people have more money than God, so I mean, they really don't need to work anymore. And Matthew Perry, he has a lot of money. I don't know why he can't find himself something better than these. This is his third sitcom in a row. The first one was Mr. Sunshine, which actually wasn't terrible. Single camera sitcom about he was running a second-rate in San Diego with Allison Janney. It was actually pretty good. Did not last very long. Then he did Go On, which lasted 22 episodes, I think, where he was another sports guy. I think a broadcaster who was in group therapy. And now he's playing a sports reporter. So it's like, is he like Tony Danza, where he can only play sports reports? Like Tony Danza can only play people named Tony?
Well,
I don't understand it.
Let's not forget, there was also Studio 60 on the Sunset
Actually,
Strip.
but I'm not blaming Studio 60.
No.
I hated it. I'm not blaming. It was not his fault. It was not Bradley Whitford's fault. It was all Aaron Sorkin's fault.
Right. Because you love to hate watch Aaron Sorkin dramas.
It's not his movies, 'cause I like his movies, but But no, Studio 60 was not good, but it was not because of him.
Let me throw something past you. We spoke about this a little bit. I'm not a fan of making characters younger, but in this case, do you think if they made the characters younger, changed the living situation somewhat, would it have been more believable in the end?
I don't think so. I think it actually would have ended up being more generic, because it's pretty common for people to be roommates when they're younger and opposites and all that. I just think it would have been kind of lame. I think when you have older people, I don't know, I guess they're in their 40s, I think it lends itself to a lot more interesting situations. I think people can relate to them more. They can become more idiosyncratic. I didn't really enjoy the fact that the Pigeon sisters of the show seem to be many years younger than they are. It's like, have some age-appropriate romances, please. But that's my own little personal soapbox there. And actually, I think the performance I enjoyed the most was I can't remember their names. It was so forgettable. But it was the sister of the blonde that Matthew Perry liked, who was sort of like the quirky one who hits it off with the Felix Unger character. I thought she was pretty fun.
Well, let's not forget Wendell Pierce is in this as well, right?
He is, but he really didn't do very much in the pile. I love Wendell Pierce, who we know from The Wire and from Treme.
Right.
But there were a group of friends who come over who are put off by Felix's fastidiousness and everything. But the jokes are just of this like, take my wife, please, kind of Borscht Belt comedy, and it's just.
What a missed opportunity. When we think of movies to TV adaptations, we think of things like MASH. What else comes to mind? I mean, because it takes a lot more than just taking characters. I mean, a property needs to have life, a prospect of more stories, right?
Well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my personal favorite, and that was actually Joss Whedon's movie. He was unhappy with the movie, and he made it into a TV series, which ended up becoming this incredibly layered, groundbreaking. It ran for 7 seasons. It had its ups and downs, but it was wonderful, and I love Parenthood. I thought they did, which just wrapped, I think, last week. I thought it was a little sappy towards the. It was a little sappy, but they did a great job with that show, and fleshed out all the characters. Of course, it mostly involved adding more children as they went along, right. But that was another great example. So it can be done. I think it helps if you have sort of like maybe a bigger cast. You could tell more stories out of it.
but they are few and far between.
Yes, they are few and far between.
All right. Well, let us know what's coming up for you next week.
We have the finale of The Celebrity Apprentice, this weirdly foreshortened season where we have 2, 3, 7 episodes a week. I don't even know how many episodes. And the funny thing is that it's doing really, really well in the ratings. Everybody's talking about it. So the final showdown, it will be live between Lisa Gibbons and Geraldo Rivera. Kind of saw that coming a little bit.
Sure.
That's Monday night at 8 p.m. And the finale, speaking of shows, 2.5 Men finale after 12 seasons, Thursday night at 9 p.m. I watched half of one episode to prep for our little talk, and it's not as terrible as I remembered it.
Okay.
Actually, Ashton Kutcher is a little bit charming. It is just I have a difficult time watching these bump sitcoms anymore.
Right.
And a new sitcom that's coming next week is One Big Happy, which is about an untraditional family. You have two friends, a man and a woman, been friends for a long time. She's a lesbian. She decides she wants to start a family. He's single. Let's have a baby together, raise it. It all works out great until he finds the love of his life and marries her in the spur of the moment. So that's Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. I was just about to sit down and watch the screener. So I can't tell you how it is. I do not have high hopes for it based on the what I've seen in the trailer. All
right. Well, Vicki, we'll be here again next week. That wraps it up for us. Join us, like I said, next week for another TV chat. Until then, visit NJ.com Entertainment for all of your entertainment needs in the Garden State. Take care, everyone.